To my Wednesday political panel, Cameron Milner, former Chief of Staff to Labor leader Bill Shorten, now Director of GXO Strategies, and Michael Costa, former New South Wales Labor Treasurer. Cameron, how do you interpret what is happening in LA?
Well, it's a riot, isn't it, Andrew? I mean, these people are breaking the law when they came to America. They're breaking the law as they leave America. Well, little wonder they're torching things, fighting with police, fighting with authorities. Any other governor who wasn't running for Democrat national presidential nomination in 2.5 years' time would have already called the National Guard in. Any other governor but Newsom. No, he's trying to make this a political stage between himself and Trump while his cities are burning. And these rioters need to be shown the full force of the law. And people who aren't supposed to be there, the illegal immigrants, should be sent home. A one-way bus ticket to Juarez in Mexico. That's where it should start.
Michael Costa, how do you interpret what's happening in the LA yourself? Because I am astonished to see so many Democrats lining up to attack Donald Trump when, in fact, Barack Obama, if he deported hundreds of thousands, I think 400,000 illegal immigrants, and I didn't see riots in California then.
Look, Andrew, I think what's occurring is appalling, obviously. But in terms of Trump, he's shown real leadership on this, and I mean real political leadership as well. He will split the Democrats. Any chance Newsom has of running for president is going to be cruel by this particular performance he's had. I mean, you know, the Democratic Party's doing all this soul searching at the moment, talking about the illegal border as being one of the reasons they lost the election, yet their prime candidate, their front runner, is out there defending what the average American person would see as being appalling behaviour. And I note in that film clip, Andrew, you saw lots of immigrants trying to defend their 7-Eleven. These were people that came in legally, and this is the heart of the matter. People have come legally into America from an immigrant background, and they don't want illegals in there. And we saw that in the last presidential election. I think Donald Trump's played this brilliantly politically.
And I think it's also showing leadership. I mean, you cannot have an illegal invasion, really, of another country. You
Exactly.
don't have a country if you allow that. Cameron, here's a really amazing backdown. The world's richest man, Elon Musk, he's just apologised to US President Donald Trump after their amazing fallout. He's posted, "I regret some of my posts about President Trump. They went too far." And I guess he means that when he said Trump should be impeached, and when he said that Trump had been named in the secret files of the notorious pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, which I'm sure is not true. What's going on here, do you think?
Well, Elon Musk, I think, has worked out politics 101, which is that if you want to be a politician, put your name on a ballot paper. If not, keep quiet. I mean, what he did last week was just appalling. And he'll have to spend an awful lot of time on his knees begging for forgiveness, a lot longer than it took him to type that tweet, Andrew, after what he said about the President of the United States, who was elected by 312 college votes, overwhelming majority for Trump. Musk was unelected and shouldn't have said what he said last week.
What do you think here, Michael? Is this one where he genuinely realises, you know, friends have intervened, look, I did go too far. He did delete those two tweets I mentioned over the weekend, I think it was. Or is it that he fears what Trump might do to him?
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, Andrew. I think he probably regrets what he said about Trump. You know, and the worst part about what he did say about Trump was that his actual criticisms of that bill are right on the money. I mean, it is a mad bill. It's going to increase debt, and it's got all sorts of problems in it. And clearly he detracted from his own message as somebody that, you know, is usually very good on social media. I think he, you know, blew a fuse, and he ought to apologise, and I think he's done the right thing.
Election has just been called in Tasmania, July 19. Cameron, this is becoming very interesting because the Lieutenant Governor of the state was actually sitting on his decision whether to grant the poll or not. Jeremy Ratcliffe, he actually wanted this election rather than agree to step down after having a vote of no confidence passed on him personally and make way for one of his colleagues to take over, which would have avoided the need for an election. There was already talk that some of his colleagues would indeed like him to step down and replace him. But now, of course, with the election called, that won't happen. What do you make of all that?
Well, I think the most democratic thing is that the voters of Tasmania have got a say on what's happened over the last 16 months. If debt, this incredible AFL stadium, which seems to be 11 games a year for $1 billion, if the state doesn't want that, the state's voters can vote that way now. So Jeremy Rockcliffe has put his future before the people, which is what you should do in this sort of situation. Dean Winter didn't have the numbers. Dean Winter wasn't going to govern with the Greens as a Labor minority government. He wanted to force it back to the people, and now voters of Tasmania get to decide.
Oh, look, I hope they say, well, it's a bit hard to untangle, voters' reasons for anything in a binary election thing, yes or no. But Michael Costa, it was just insane that the Tasmanian government was building a stadium that's now blowing out to nearly $1 billion in an island of 500,000 people that already has two AFL's grounds. And this stadium would only seat 23,000 people. Nearly $1 billion. I mean, this is insane.
But it's also consistent with what's going on across all of our state governments, unfortunately.
Correct.
And you know that better than I do in Victoria. And I'm wondering what's going to happen in Queensland, Cameron, with the Olympics coming up on these stadiums.
Very true, Michael, very true.
I agree totally with Cameron. I mean, let the people decide this. If they want the stadium, Andrew, they've got a choice to meet it in terms of increased taxation or increased borrowings, which is even worse position to be in. But, let's wait and see what happens on July 19th.
Just very quickly, Cameron, I know I've run out of time, but I just want to ask you, after 18 years, the ABC's canned its once flagship Q&A show, which was usually, had one Conservative guest against four leftists, against the leftist host as well, and against the leftist audience that was free to boo him. Its ratings just tanked. What does that tell you?
Well, doesn't it tell you that the ABC couldn't come a moment too soon? I mean, after 18 years too long for Q&A, quite frankly. Look, anything after the Antiques Roadshow on the ABC is the lefty witching hour these days, Andrew. So Q&A was just one of a long line of programs which taxpayers pay for lefties to take the megaphone and shout back at us.
Cameron Milner, Michael Costa, thank you very much to you both.